In this video, you will learn how to replace strut mounts in a few steps. First, scan the QR code on the sedum packaging and read the installation instructions thoroughly. Clean the bolts and nuts, which are to be removed with a wire brush. This includes the bracket between the suspension strut and the steering knuckle, the suspension strut mounts themselves, and the top nut on the gas spring. Then spray all fasteners with penetrating oil. Check for any clamps for brake lines or sensor wiring that need to be removed. This is the case with this vehicle. Loosen the clamps. Next, remove the upper ball joint of the stabilizer link from the suspension strut. Then loosen the two bolts on the bracket between the suspension strut and the steering knuckle. Pull the steering knuckle away from the suspension strut. Lower the vehicle so that you can loosen the nuts on the suspension strut mounts. Next, pull the suspension strut out of the vehicle. Place the suspension strut in a vise. Tension the spring with a spring compressor. Remove the top nut on the gas spring. This is the mounting nut for the suspension strut mount themselves. Then remove the old suspension strut mounts. Remove the bellows, bumper, and rubber spring seat and set them aside. This worn suspension strut mount shows many signs of rust. Unpack the new suspension strut mounts and compare them with the old ones. Mount the bellows, bumper, and rubber spring seat on the new suspension strut mounts. Use some penetrating oil to make this easier. Place the new strut mount on the gas spring and fit the top nut. When loosening the spring clip, make sure that the spring is correctly seated in the spring seat. Then tighten the top nut to the torque specified by the vehicle manufacturer. Place the nuts at the suspension strut mount seat under the hood. Remove the suspension strut from the vise and take it back to the vehicle. Place the suspension strut back in the car and tighten the suspension strut mount nuts manually while holding it in position. Now reattach the suspension strut bracket to the steering knuckle with the bolts and nuts. First tighten them manually, then to the torque specified by the vehicle manufacturer. Next, tighten the suspension strut mount nuts under the hood to the torque specified by the vehicle manufacturer. Reinstall the upper ball joint of the stabilizer link and put back brake line clamps and sensors. After replacement, the wheels can be remounted on the car and it is ready to be aligned. Check out the Sedum YouTube channel for more instructional videos.